Let's see if the eye area is dry and we can go over this one or not. Maybe the right eye. I'm just carefully placing the lash line here. And her pupil, but I use brown, so actually it's blue. So I will try to get over it with a turquoise blue tone. You see, I just left a bit of a highlight there. Okay, let's see if the left eye is dried and we can place a lash line. Very, very carefully. We don't want to make a wrong brush stroke here. This looks good, I think. And just widen the edge a bit because there's shadows. There are shadows. And now I already painted over my underdrawing, so I can't really see. Okay, so the camera actually stopped recording, which is pretty annoying, but fortunately it wasn't so bad. So I just added the other eye and strengthened or reinforced and darkened this shadow again, and also here the area under the lips, just made it darker and just made the whole process or the whole face a bit darker with the same process. I'm just added additional layers, soft layers, and smoothen the border out. And now it is a bit dried, not more. Now we're gonna continue with the color pencils part, and I will slowly work my way around the face. And I think I will start with the darkest parts, and I'm going to use polychromos because they are not too soft and not too hard, and they have a good pigmentation. And you can also use luminance pencils. They are very oily, and I use them at the last step to go over certain areas, but not in the first step because they are too oily and too soft, so you can't go over it with other pencils. So I'm using them only in the last steps. Okay, I think the eyes the paper is still too wet, so I can't go over this area. I will try to go over her mouth instead. I think I will go with this purple. So I don't have a very dark red brown, so I will just take this purple instead. And make sure that your pencils are very sharp to get a very fine detailed drawing. Otherwise you wouldn't get this details and this grade of detail. This is not dark enough, so I have this dark indigo tone to make it darker. Just carefully follow the form and the shape of the shadow of her mouth. And I think I make her nose a bit smaller. I think I made it too wide. So you can definitely correct with color pencils a bit. This is possible. And I have this perfect skin tone for shadows, which is Venetian Red from Faber-Castell Polychromos. And this is perfect. So this is already the skin tone. So, and I can use those color pencils to get those subtle gradients right, which isn't really possible with watercolors. So the paper is not perfectly dried. I think I will have to hair dry it, because you see that the pigments are not really going into the paper, and this is because it's not dried. So I think I will just make subtle changes here. Maybe it's dried when I'm finished with it. So the contour of her face is very wobbly, and we can leave it like that if we want. I think I will just make it a bit more defined. So I just let the painting a bit dry on the heater, and now I can continue with color pencils, and it goes way easier now where the paper is dried and not so sensitive anymore. And what I'm doing now is that I look very carefully on the reference and see where I have to place the shadows. And here under the nose, the shadow have to be right. So the nose obviously is important for the face, and I have to get it right. So I'm just making it a bit darker, and I have to increase the pressure because there are already layers of color pencils on the paper, and this is why I chose the Fabriano paper. On the Hahnemühle paper I can't really lay down so many layers of color pencils because it is more sensitive and it breaks after a time. Now I will carefully try to make a smooth gradient here, and I will take this gray here as well. It looks a bit smudgy and messy here, so now I'm taking my oily luminance pencil because I can go over the area and make this area super smooth. It changes the color, so it makes it also a bit gray, but in this case it doesn't matter because her skin tone is pretty gray as well. I'm adding a bit of green over it, only a slight soft shade. And now I'm using this pink and try to blend the shadow into the area where only watercolor is. This is just detail work, it takes time. And then I take the luminance again and soften the gradient again. And now I have, let's see if I have the other luminance. This is also luminance pencil, but it is a purple gray tone, and I will try to go with this purple gray tone along the line of the nose to get the exact shape right. So I will take this purple tone because it fits better to the actual shadow. Now I show you how I make one eye, and I will probably just finish the other eye and not record it, because it really takes longer with color pencils than with oil paint, because I can only do it the accurate way. So with oil paint I can make it loose, I can make it pretty loose, but with watercolor and color pencils I kind of can't, because it doesn't look good in my opinion. So I think I will fade out the shadow here. I could make the entire area dark like on the reference, but I think I will just fade it out a bit and just that it goes into this abstract pattern. And so we have here the shadow over the eye, under the eyebrow, and now I'm making the base of the eyebrow so that we can just add the individual hairs later. Yeah, the eyebrow hair later. And I'm going to add some greens here too, because there is green. I don't know if you can see it, but there is green. I only see it because I'm so close to the reference and there's no camera between me and the reference. So don't worry that you can't see it. It's not you. Here I'm adding a little bit of gray, although this gray is, I didn't sharpen it, so the result is, oh my god, now it's broken, that it is grainy. It is grainy and it isn't as beautiful as if I had sharpened it. And my pencil sharpener is awful, by the way, so just eats the whole pencil. Okay, I think this was a bit too much actually, so I'm using this weird eraser, just taking it a bit off, and I'm going over it with the purple luminance and with the white luminance to make a blending it a bit into the area where no color pencils are yet. Okay, and now I'm just gonna work out the iris a bit more, just getting the shape right. And here we need a bit of a shadow. And I'm changing my pencils the whole time because on the reference the color is changing as well. So there isn't a shadow and the shadow is only one color. On the one side it is a bit more green, and then there's a gradient into a more brown or more reddish tone, so I'm adjusting my colors according to the reference. And here I will continue the shadow from the eye around her face. And see if I can get it more realistically. And be careful when you go over an area where you haven't drawn with color pencils yet, because there you have to be, you don't need to use as much pressure and just be a bit more careful with your pencil. And when there's an area where you already have drawn with color pencils, you can increase your pressure. And now I think it looks already nice, but when I squint my eyes, I see that this area here over her eyelid is way darker than on my drawing. So I will try to get this area darker. And I take this indigo blue color pencil and carefully work in the shadows here, very carefully. And here is a light area, and then there's a strong shadow, so we want to get that right here. And the shadow is more brown than blue actually, so I'm going to use this brown tone here. And again a bit of the blue. And here we have a slight darker shadow as well in this area here. And I think I will go with this gray tone here and just carefully blend in the shadow. And now I want to draw the eyebrow, and the eyebrow is pretty difficult, so I'm carefully making a foundation for the eyebrow, and I need a bit of this, what is it, ochre, burnt ochre tone, because she has this beautiful red hair and her eyebrows are in this color as well. So I'm carefully making a foundation for the eyebrow. It's a bit like makeup, the language, but not quite the same. And here we have a gradient, so I'm going first in with this gray, just carefully building up a gradient. Then I'm taking a darker color, go over it, carefully making another layer, and then I'm using the green again and make a green layer. And now we have a nice, beautiful skin tone for the shadows. And here this area is obviously darker, because the eyebrow casts a shadow there. And I need a dark brown actually, but I don't have one, so this brown here has not a very high pigmentation and I can't really see it. I try to use more pressure then. And I'm carefully placing the eyebrow. And I don't like to paint eyebrows with individual brush strokes. I absolutely don't like it. It is because I'm impatient and I don't like to paint individual hair strings. And I also think it looks more natural if you see the eyebrow as a shape, as a whole shape instead of individual hairs. And To see it in a shape, it helps to squint the eyes so that you only see blurry, and then you can see where these shapes go and where it ends, where it starts, how large it is, how dark it is, how light it is, and which colors it has. And I think this is already pretty nice, but here is a curve in the eyebrow, and in mine there isn't, so I have to adjust that a bit. And also increase this nice orange ochre tone to get her beautiful, to match her beautiful hair color. And here is actually light hitting the individual hair strings. So I'm gonna add only a few individual hair strings, only where the light hits the eyebrow. I'm going to do it like that. And so we saved work. We didn't have to paint the complete eyebrow with individual hair strings. We just added a few to complete the illusion. And now I will tackle the eyeball again because it looks still not right. And we need a gray and a blue actually, so I think I will start with the gray because it is only really a bit blue, not too much. And here this area is way too light, so I will go over it with the gray color pencil first to get the color values right, because it really bothers me that the color values are still off with my eye here. I don't want that, so I just take this ochre here. Sometimes you can also just take random pencils, because when you only want to change a slight variation or a slight hue, you don't have to be super accurate with the colors. Color value is way more important than the actual colors. I could paint the whole face in blue, for example, and it would still look like a face, and it would still look a bit three-dimensional, because the color values is what really matters. But I love colors so much, and I love to copy the exact colors. I don't know, I just like it, so we don't paint this face in blue today, but we could do it. This looks already more accurate to the reference picture. The more we work out those shadows and get the values right, the more closely and more similar it looks to our reference. So it comes together in the end. Normally I would paint two eyes simultaneously, but I think this is too long for this tutorial. And you saw how I painted the one eye, so I think you can imagine how I will draw or paint the other eye too. Here I'm adding a slight highlight, and now I'm gonna make the lips. So this shadow here is basically just the same that I just did here. So I will probably have that in a time lapse, so that you can see the meticulous process of drawing everything and coloring everything, but you don't have to see it in real life. I think that's better. Okay, and now I will start with the lip. So I'm taking this brown tone here, and so the lip looks different. My lip looks way more different than on the reference, so I'm very carefully trying first to get the shape, to correct the shape. because the shape is not right yet. Very, very carefully. And it has a shadow here, so I will add this shadow too. And the shadow continues, of course, on the other side as well. And now I need red. She has here a very, very slight line of red. Don't ask me why, but she has it. So I will add it here very, very carefully and only with soft pressure. Because you can't really erase color pencil, it's difficult, and this is why you have to be so careful while using it. Very, very carefully. I'm correcting the shape of her lip. I'm taking this nice rose pink tone and just tinting the lip a bit here, and also the lower lip, or the underlip. I don't know how it's called. I forgot to check it in the dictionary. Okay, and now I think I go with this brown tone here and try to get the shadow here right. Actually, here the whole area is dark, so it would look better if I would have this area here dark already. The illusion would look better and more realistic. So I'm also adding a bit here, making the mouth longer. You're just placing carefully green into the shadow because there is green and you really can't see all the subtle color differences. So don't think it is your eyes or it's you. It isn't. It is just that it is a printed image and then it's recorded through a second device, and then you see it on your laptop, and no surprise that not all colors could be caught. So don't worry about that. So I think the shadow, I did the shadow a bit too strong. I use this purple gray tone to paint over the dark. This is a very useful trick because the luminance color pencils are so opaque that they can that they are visible and make dark areas lighter if you want. Okay, and now I will try to smooth the border of the lip because this gives an extra kind of, just makes it a bit more realistic and lively. So making borders of lips smooth looks more realistic. I don't know why that is, but it is like that. So if you would paint lipstick, for example, always make the border smooth. Don't make it too harsh, don't make it too sharp. It looks better if it is smooth. Just a thing that I discovered. I need to have a gradient, and I think I still didn't get the form right, so I will carefully go over this area again. And the left side of the lip is dark, so I'm using this ochre tone because it matches the color more. And here is a green, more greenish tone. And it really helps squinting the eyes so that you can detect the actual color values. And the lip is not as pink and as rose as I draw it, so I will go over it with this ochre tone. Here's this border, this light white border. Okay, and now I will see if I have still some gouache in my watercolor box. Yes, it is dried, so I'm just using a bit of gouache and I'm adding some highlights here. Nothing special. You can also use a white gel pen or just or white acrylics, just anything that gives an opaque layer to. This is opaque. Nothing special. And here is on the lip, on the nose tip, there's a highlight, of course, too, and here as well, and the little highlight is here too. So I think this looks nice. I just change the shape of the highlights a bit, just make them more natural. And now I'm gonna color everything here like on the reference, and I will also make the other eye, and I will have that in a time lapse so that you don't have to or just watch it, because it is just the same process that I did with the rest of the individual features.